Hello, I'm Donnacha Dennehy and I'm here in the Nonesuch library, kind of like The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, a kind of a really special room. And I'm here to pick some of my favourite recordings, which for me is really hard because there's loads of recordings from Nonesuch that have meant so much to me over the years. I'm going to pick one that's really well known actually, which is Górecki's Third Symphony. And you know, I did debate, is it too well known? But I love it and loved it from when it first came out. In fact, I even remember watching this program when I was young called Top of the Pops, which is on in England. And they had this, I'm from Ireland, but we used to watch Top of the Pops. And they had one of the movements from this on it. And it was the first time I heard Dawn Upshaw's voice, which I absolutely adore. There was another one by her called Trois Poèmes de Stéphane Mallarmé by Ravel, which I also wanted to pick, but there's just something about this symphony and its patience, just incredible patience, the way it evolves, that really has meant something to me. And actually at different points in my life, this has had a kind of profound impact to me, just slowing down to listen to it. And also it's incredibly well constructed, like so many of his pieces. What a cover. Nixon in China by John Adams. I think the first opera that I really loved, I mean it was a toss-up between this and Einstein on the Beach by Philip Glass, but this was, it's just, there's something about it, it's kind of the urgency of it, the incredible command. It's an opera I keep coming back to. Also just the way that John interacts with that libretto by Alice Goodman. It's just really an absolutely superb opera, and actually really great in this recording, because I really got to know it in this recording before I ever saw it live, which I was really happy about because then it had so much resonance. Big Science by Laurie Andriessen. I love her gentle weirdness. She had a show on in BAM late last year. It was just amazing. And this album, everything in it is just, everything she wants to say. She's somebody who's telling you something all the time, and yet it's in this really awry sort of way, slightly off the center, and just the kind of joy in her making stuff. Yeah. It's just superb. This was actually one of the first CDs I ever bought, the Kronos Quartet, my local record shop up in the Rathfarnham shopping centre, and I loved it, everything on it, and it was my first time ever hearing anything by Peter Sculthorpe, Salonen, Nancaro. I think it was my first time ever hearing anything by Nancaro. And there's a beautiful quartet by Philip Glass called Company, which also has an extra resonance for me because it was actually a setting, it was music for a play by Samuel Beckett, who was probably my, well, certainly growing up was my favourite writer. And I don't know, it has a kind of beautifully saturated quality. And then there's this, you know, so exciting version of Jimi Hendrix' Purple Haze. And you know, I'm not always keen on sort of like classical, so-called classical versions of like really famous rock songs, but there's just something about this where it's just unhinged enough that it's really good. The Staat. I remember when I got this CD, we used to pass it around among ourselves. Gotta listen to this. This is just something else. Every composer wanted to hear this. Louis then became someone, long after I heard this for the first time, who of immense importance for me, and he was even a mentor for me. I even went to Amsterdam for a year, and he always engages with these really deep subject matters, and not in a kind of just superficial way. It sort of influences the music. And there's this quote that he refers to here, which is about Plato between music and society, and Plato even worried whether the Mixolydian mode could have a deleterious effect on society, or obviously not. The Mixolydian mode isn't that powerful, but this is powerful. And the first 11 minutes of this are probably the most electrifying development in music that I can think of. And then around 11 minutes, it's like it's Stravinsky's Rite of Spring on acid. Yeah, it's really cool. This is probably less well known. Kancheli, the Fifth Symphony. It was the Fourth and the Fifth Symphony. The Fifth Symphony is one of the greatest spatialized compositions I can think of. And it's just for orchestra, but the way the sound is just spread through the orchestra, and the way you get something that's so local and a huge immediately following it is just remarkable in this piece. And this is actually, I think this is a really great recording of it. And there he is on the cover. And then I suppose I'll finish with this, the Bulgarian State Radio and TV Women's Choir. It was a kind of result of communism in Bulgaria. They supported this choir to sort of re-energize the folk music. But man, is it brilliant. And they're just, I so remember when I first heard this, they're just the sound of it, these clashing, also because I suppose the music is mainly monophonic or in two parts, but it takes it and it makes this choral music out of it, and it's just the starkness of the harmony, the power of the voices, and the way they perform. And this was the first of the albums. It leaves such a visceral impact.